This is a King A.D.S. music production.
What's up? All right, man, let's get back into it again. So, interesting times, trying times. We all can kind of feel that we're in some sort of a grid, like we're all following some sort of narrative, right? And it's just not all adding up, not really matching up anymore. The Tetris blocks are not fitting, and we need to figure out why. And amongst that, individuality is under attack because if you are free, you can no longer see things the way that you did before, which is beat down and chained. You are now unchained the way you were born into the world, unchained and free and unmolded into the clay made of dirt and grime that they turn everybody into. And so what you have out here, what I see when I see people, I see wonderful things. I see dancers, actors, doctors, lawyers, architects, scientists, astrologers, geologists, so on and so forth. What pictures will tell you, and TV and movies will tell you is that we have some pathetic people who have no discipline, no direction or identity. So they end up being thugs or sniveling, spineless worker bees and stuff like that. And it's just not true. And so what are we really dealing with? We're dealing with basically what I've been talking about leading up to these points. And I like to, always go back and touch on things. So if you, real quick, I like to take the time to say, if you haven't seen my other videos or heard all my music, please take the time to check out my music and watch my other videos as I go along on this journey to try to shed light through things that I've learned or experienced and just try to do my part. So right now, what we have going on is a mass amount of people influenced by dark energy by way of technology, using a message across the technology to influence minds to do certain things, which is to buy into the machine and support the machine. And it's okay if the machine was positive and built people instead of buildings, right? So individuality is a very important thing. And on the other hand, what we have is a herd. We have a herd of people, and you hear people say sheeple and all that stuff. We have a herd of people that are all fixated in a viewpoint, which is done by, most of the time is done by some form of propaganda, whether people choose to admit it or like that or not. It's just whatever we take in. We're a product of our environment. Our surroundings become habit. They become our routine, which are covered in another time is, check out the definitions of words, religion, your daily practice. So daily practice would be taking the negative energy and spitting back out negative energy or unrealistic viewpoints and things like that. So even in ancient times, you'll catch people talking about how these propaganda machines were heavy and hard at work amongst the people. And then you got to remember that we've only been literate as a nation for about, for about maybe 40 years tops. Unbelievable, right? So the human society has been allowed to start re-educating themselves only for like the past 200 to 300 years. Before those times, you were kept illiterate. Before that, you were very literate, but then those things got stripped away through warfare and mongering and expansions and things like that. So these herds are fashioned to support whatever viewpoints that the conquering entity demands or wants to see, the results they want to see. That's what they're going to push. So with this machine, of course, it's, sales driven. It's very retail driven or monetarily driven. So it's always going to be towards driving you towards buying products, supporting that cause, and stay out of their business, right? But what about you? You get swallowed up. Someone who has a great mind only thinks at a lower standard because that's all that's presented to them. I feel like a person needs to remember why they came and to remember how important all the good things in life are all the time, to be shown. And it sucks because we don't have those kinds of examples to always remind us that, things are wonderful and it's what you make of it. And that's why it's nice, because someone took action. It's not just because there's money, it's because someone took action. And so many people took action and people started to take notice. And then, yeah, money followed because people said, hey, this is a good thing. Maybe we should keep it going. So then there was support. And that's done through individuality first, then community. Because you can start something alone and it'll just be a concept or an idea. You get a few people together, it's a discussion. You get a few more people together, it becomes a movement. See that? So it's the degrees of separation, hard at work. And you're never too far from what you want to see come to fruition. But you only learn those things as an individual and thinking as an individual. So running with the herd is a very dangerous thing to do, because a lot of those points of views are something that's being regurgitated without a deeper understanding or culture or education of the facts at hand, of the matters. The matters are heavier or less complicated sometimes too. Either more or less. There you go. That's a better way to say it. Either more or less complicated from time to time. So, your understanding is primo. But the herd, even in ancient times, people talked about, unless you want your education, the things that you learn, to slip away, best not to be with the herd all the time. You need time in solidarity. You need time by yourself. You need solitary time. That's what I meant to say. And those times are very important for you to grow on your own and find your own path. To remember what actually makes you smile is what makes you happy. So giving might make you happy. Making someone laugh and just taking stress away might make you happy. But you only know those things and what you dig too. Also what you dig, like what you like to be into, and you just can't be pried away from it. But you won't learn that hanging out with other people, influencing you to do other things all the time. And it may not always benefit your best interest. It may benefit their best interest. And we talk about how people project, and we talked about people trying to siphon off your energy and different stuff like that, and narcissistic energy and things like that. So you have to stay very aware and conscious that sometimes people don't take in the best information or energy, and they spit that stuff back out into the world, and you might be in that range. You might be in the line of fire, and you might take some of that. So you don't want to do that. So in order to remain an individual, you have to spend some time, by yourself. Go back to the cave, is what they would say. You have to flee away from the crowd of man, because it's mixed up opinions, and some of those opinions are coming from undereducated people who are just confused or scared or upset. And so they're relying on emotions and things to get by, while you have started to learn that doesn't quite pan out all the way. You need some facts and substance to go along with that. So, it might be an inclination, like an empathetic point of view where a person can get a hunch, but then you need facts to back things up. So, going back to education and recognizing energies and stuff like that. But yeah, so sometimes people in this world, as you heard, are sleepwalking, and about trying to wake up a sleepwalker, right? You try to wake up a sleepwalker and they might wake up violently. They might wake up frightened. You might put them in a shock. So you never know what kind of result you'll get, similar to a person who's in panic while drowning. And that only comes because they're in an unfamiliar territory that makes them uncomfortable. And that's what you see most of the time in society, is people uncomfortable in their waters, and those currents are taking them in ways that don't make them feel so hot about it. And so they're flailing and panicking. Now, if you try to save someone who's still panicking without realizing that there is a life preserver around them so you could try to save them, they'll drown you too. They'll take you under in a panic. And so in a way, it's kind of like bad habits rubbing off on you. You can't afford to get yourself into situations that take you off of your path of evolution. Basically, you're moving forward and upward, and you want to keep it that way. So in order to do that, you have to remain an individual. And the easiest way to remain an individual is to be okay with spending some time by yourself, even though you've been trained to spend your time and money with everybody else. And I would say that your time is one of the most precious things, if not the most precious thing in your experience, in your existence. So just look at that, the way that you spend things. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit, share that with you. Stay away from the herd. It's nice to visit, not nice to stay. So remain being an individual, remain being conscious and free. And I love y'all. Check out my music. Please hit me with a like. Please just subscribe. Please follow me on social media. And let's get it in. Let's go. All right, peace.